Hey guys, this is going to be my May wrap-up and June TBR, where I go through the books that I read in May and tell you really briefly what I thought about them, and then go through the books that I'm planning to read in June. So I read 7 books in May, which is really impressive to me considering how bad I was doing in the past, but obviously school got out for the summer and I've been trying to read more. Even having read 7 books this month, I'm still 5 books behind on my Goodreads reading challenge, which is annoying me, but I am really happy that I managed to read that much this. The first book that I read this month was Activate Your Brain: How Understanding Your Brain Can Improve Your Work and Your Life by Scott G. Halford. I gave that 5 out of 5 stars. It was a book I received for review, and it was geared towards business people, which I obviously am not, but I still think it has some great advice. A lot of it was stuff I already knew from classes that I've taken in college. I had to take a neuroscience class that was geared towards education, and even though these weren't really the same, like geared towards the same people, it was still a lot of similar to things to what I'd learned in that class, and I think that is some really great information, and I really liked the book. I would definitely recommend it for people who are business people, but I also think it's good to, some of the information is good for everyone to have. We have Lit by Kersner and Mandel. I gave this, I believe, 5 out of 5 stars. This is from my freshman year of college. It was our literature textbook, and so I'd read a lot of the stuff in it, but I mean, it's just a textbook and a good one, I think, in my opinion, and I enjoyed going through and reading the parts of it that I hadn't already. The next book that I read this month was The Amber Project by J.N. Chaney, which I also got for review, and I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. It's a science fiction kind of dystopian. It's labeled as a dystopian. I think it's kind of like a light dystopian. It's not like the Hunger Games or anything. They do have a government that's kind of corrupt, but it's not, it comes across really similar to our government, and I know that there are a lot of dystopian books where kind of the point is drawing comparisons to that government and ours, but in this case it seemed like the same level of kind of corruption going on, and there were good people within their government at the same time, so it kind of didn't make it quite as dystopian to me, but I did really enjoy it. I thought it was really interesting. It was the first in the series, so I'm really looking forward to reading the rest of the books. I read Without You, There Is No Us: My Time with the Sons of North Korea's Elite by Suki Kim, which is a book that I got in a giveaway on Goodreads, and I gave this 5 out of 5 stars. I really loved this book. It's a memoir about the author, Suki Kim. She's a Korean American, and she pretends to be a Christian she doesn't really pretend, she just lets people assume that she's Christian in order to get a job teaching English at this Christian college in North Korea that they've established to convert the North Koreans to Christianity, but of course North Korea is against that, so they have strict rules about them not discussing Christianity with the students. So part of what's going on is the missionary is trying to do the small little things that they can do to convert the North Koreans, but not being very successful. The North Koreans are obviously very, very controlling and monitoring everything that goes on at the school, and the time she's teaching there for the last 6 months, I think, of Kim Jong-il's reign, that he dies the day before she leaves North Korea, so she sees the immediate reaction to that, and she's working with the sons of the elite people in North Korea, so they're the people who are going to be really the top dogs kind of once their dads die, and so it's a really interesting look in how their education goes even, and just how controlled North Korea is and everything, and she definitely develops a connection to her students. She calls them her boys and things like that, and she gets really emotional about having to leave them, and I just thought that it was a really great book. The next book I read this month was The Twilight Saga: The Official Illustrated Guide by Stephanie Meyer. I gave this 3 out of 5 stars. This is pretty self-explanatory. This was published in 2011, I believe, so it took me about 4 years to finally get to it. I actually bought it in a consignment shop, but I had been planning to buy it anyway, but then I saw it there and it was cheap, so I think it was like, my mom was with me and I think like it became my Christmas present or something, or Easter or something like that. But it's pretty self-explanatory. It's a lot of reiteration of information from Twilight. There is some extra information, not a whole lot. I think if you're a really big Twilight fan, obviously it's something that you'll probably want or probably already have, to have like all of the information in one place, and there are like sections on each of the characters giving a biography. I think that's where like most of the new information, at least for me, was. I'd already gotten a lot of the new information from the internet before reading this, but it's still a handy collection of information if you're like obsessed with Twilight and like really want that. The next book I read this month was another book that was for review, and that is A Bone to Pick: The Good and Bad News About Food with Wisdom and Advice on Diets, Food Safety, GMOs, Farming, and More by Mark Bittman. I just posted the review of this a couple of days ago. And it's basically, the author writes for the New York Times, and he has like a column that's on food and the like current food system and things like that. And this book is just a collection of those articles. They don't really like, they weren't meant to be in book form, and that's very obvious when you're reading it. That was pretty much like my main criticism of it. It's not like, it's not played out the best, I don't think. I did like a lot of the articles though. I saw one review that was talking about how they probably would have enjoyed it more if they'd read them as articles, like individually, instead of in a book, and I pretty much agree with that. You can definitely tell that that's how they were meant to be read, so I think I would have liked this more. Did I say that I gave it 4 out of 5 stars? Because I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I feel like it would have been 5 stars if it had been like actually written as a book and not just a collection of articles. And the last book that I read this month was Working with English Language Learners: Answers to Teachers' Top 10 Questions by Stephen Carey. This was another textbook. This was for my, well, basically this class, like working with English language learners. And we'd read like I think we'd read it like a good portion of it for a class, but not all of it. I did skip over some parts when I was reading it this time because I remembered everything from them. But I think it's a really good look. Like, it's very introductory, I think, and covers like the absolute basics, but that's good to have still. So I really liked this. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. And now I'm going to the books that I plan to read in June, and like usual I'm sticking with 5, but I'm really hoping I'm going to read more than that, especially since I'm 5 behind on my reading challenge, so I obviously have to read more than 5 to catch up within the next month. But the first book is the book that I am currently reading, and that is The Star Won't Go Out by Esther Earl. Obviously I have the dust jacket off, but I actually really like this cover because I love the color. I don't know how well it comes off on the camera, but it's a really pretty color. I am like a third of the way through or something like that, a little more than a third, maybe nearing halfway done, kind of. For those who don't know, Esther Earl was friends with John Green, who wrote The Fault in Our Stars and kind of provided some of the inspiration for that book. And she died of cancer when she was 14 or 15, I can't remember the exact age. And this is a collection of things that she wrote and things that her friends wrote. John wrote the introduction, which made me cry. Her parents wrote some of the stuff in here, and it's just like a collection of that kind of like all together tells her story. And I'm really liking it so far, and hopefully I will finish it soon, but I'm kind of taking it slow. The next book that I'm going to try to read in June is Tennessee Curiosities. I'm not seeing an author's name on here. I bought this in one time when we were in Nashville. I think I bought it in the Country Music Hall of Fame gift shop, and it's just about some of the kind of more ridiculous tourist attractions in Tennessee, I think. So that should be interesting. I really love travel books. Plus Tennessee is pretty close to me, so that makes it kind of like a more realistic travel destination. Not that I'm going to end up there anytime soon. Like Nashville is about 2 hours away from where I live, so yeah. Then I have The Communist Manifesto by Karl Marx and Frederick Engels. This was also a textbook from school. I think this particular copy is from my humanities class, although I've read the Communist Manifesto in multiple classes. At this point, I'm almost positive that this was from my humanities class. It's pretty self-explanatory. I don't think I need to explain it. I mainly want to, like I said, I've read the Communist Manifesto multiple times, but this has other stuff in it, and so I want to read it for that, and not just the manifesto. So I'm gonna try and read this entire thing. Not that it's going to be easy reading, and that's probably going to slow down my like progress in reading this month, but I'm gonna try it anyway. Speaking of books that will make things go slowly this next month, I have Broadview Anthology of British Literature. This is volume B. This was the only volume we had for my British literature class. I had two British literature classes, and this was the textbook for part 2, but it was the first one that I took. And like, we read parts of this textbook obviously, but as you can see how thick it is, and these are very thin pages, so we in no way got to everything in this book. So I'm going to try and read more of it, and I may do something where I'm probably going to read like another book alongside this, since this is probably going to take quite a while, but I do want to start trying to go through it this month. The last book I'm going to include in the TBR, even though I'm hoping to get to more this month, is Dumbing Down America: The War on Our Nation's Brightest Young Minds, What We Can Do to Fight Back, by James R. Delisle, PhD. I won this in a giveaway on Goodreads. Obviously, I'm an education major, so this kind of interests me, and I'm pretty sure it's just about testing in the American school system, and what testing means currently in the American school system, and like probably suggestions on how to fix it. Yeah, this book is about why America is behind other schools in education, and how specifically how gifted children aren't being taught well, which is interesting because obviously most of the time the focus is on kids who aren't performing well, but this book is supposed to be about how gifted children aren't being given the correct resources, so they're not going as far as they can, I think is what I get from the back of the book. So this should be interesting. I'm interested to hear what he has to say, and I'm hoping to read this month. It's not that thick, although there is kind of smaller print, so hopefully it won't take that long. But I think those are the books I'm going to definitely try to read this month. Hopefully I read more. We'll see. I'm extremely hot right now. I swear to God, like it's been hot in my room for days, but for some reason, like standing up and filming the video is making it like 10 times hotter in here. So I'm going to go, and I will see you guys later. Bye.